She seemed like somebody I could get to know. Thought I was lucky I was next. Her kiss was cheap, perfume and cigarettes, lips warm from someone else's breath. And when her friend said that I was their favorite, didn't know there was a choice. When I asked who's talking in the background, she said only listen to her voice. And now she says, why can't we be friends? And she says, trust is just a word. And she says, she doesn't understand, and she's polished like a banister from so many hands. And I tell her I'd rather be drunk 1,000 times than sober 1 minute with her. Hey, and that's what this is all about. Welcome to Cocktales with Tiki King. This is the fifth. This is the next one after the last one. And we're here at the Tiki King Holiday Bar, here in my secret lair hideaway lair. Secret, but it's secret. So don't tell people that you saw this, because then you know they're gonna know, and then they're gonna want to come up here, and it's gonna be mayhem because they won't bring Ritz crackers. And anyway, so here we are. Welcome to Cocktales with Tiki King. Tonight is a very special night. It's a very special night. It's actually the night after Christmas. And what do we got? It's the night after Christmas. We're partying it up. We're having a good time. We opened our stockings. People gave us all kinds of booze and stuff. And now we're thinking, what are we going to do? So here's the thing. It's so 25th. So it's, hold on. I want my calendar flask and see what. Six days until New Year's Eve, and 5 days. But then if you go backwards, it counts half, because that's some tasty flask there. But it goes the other way. But anyway, New Year's Eve is coming up. And what happens on New Year's Eve? I'll tell you if you don't already know. Champagne. It's always champagne. New Year's Eve, people say, hey, more champagne. Turk, he says, oh, more champagne. That's kind of the thing that happens. You can fool him. There can be like, if he hears an explosion, you know, he'll be saying, more champagne. So you're thinking, yeah, but you know, how much champagne can you drink? And the answer is a lot if you do it right. So we're going to talk a little bit about champagne cocktails, because you can, just drink champagne out of the glass, and that's all fine and dandy, but sometimes you want something more. So we're going to go with, I've scheduled 2 guest appearance cocktails tonight. One very simple, one a little more complicated. But we're going to be doing that, and hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. So I wrote a bunch of notes about tonight's show, but unfortunately they're prop notes, so they're actually just squiggly lines. So that's not going to do me any good. So let's talk a little bit about champagne. I have some champagne right here, and this is Brut Natural. It's Corbel Natural. It's a little sweeter than a Brut. So champagne, there's lots of different kinds. There's extra Brut, there's extra dry, there's sec, there's demi-sec. There's all these different types of champagne, and like the demi-sec is the sweetest, the extra Brut is the driest. What does that mean? That means it has more or less sugar. If it's extra Brut, it has the least sugar. If it's a demi-sec, it has the most sugar. Some people don't know this, and I'm going to gross you all out probably, but so how is alcohol made? Well, basically you have you start with your stuff. Like with champagne, you're starting with grapes, right? Mash them up, you get the juice out. You take that and you put it in with some yeast. What happens? Well, the yeast eats sugar and excretes alcohol. So what happens is it eats and eats and eats and eats, and it's eating sugar and excreting alcohol, and pretty soon it gets to a point where it can't live anymore because the food's all gone and there's basically just alcohol, and so then the yeast kind of dies, and they filter that out, and if they don't, then it's called unfiltered, and we'll talk about that probably another time. But there's actually Kurt Vonnegut. I think Kurt Vonnegut wrote, maybe as Kilgore Trout, a story about a conversation between two yeasts who were arguing about basically overpopulation and all these different things, and they had no idea that they were making champagne. So anyway, so champagne. what can you do with champagne? Well, if you're like me, you can just chug it straight out of the bottle. And that's all fine and dandy, but the rest of the guests at the dinner table might take offense. So, maybe we won't do that. So, like I said, you can just pour it into a glass, enjoy it that way. That's all fine and dandy. But if you want to get a little fancy, and I sometimes like to get a little fancy, and I wear a different hat when I'm getting fancy, but tonight I'm wearing I get to wear this until New Year's, I was told, because that's acceptable in the world that I'm in. So, the first cocktail we're going to make, it's called a Kir Royale. And it takes 2 ingredients. It's very simple to make. Champagne, the first ingredient. Second ingredient is one of those dusty bottles that I love talking about so much. Crème de cassis. And it's simple. I'm going to show you how. Easy to do. What we're going to do is first... Okay, now some people they like the exploding champagne, right? They like the cork to go flying across the room, stuff gushing out. They like to hold up the Stanley Cup, pour champagne all over their friends, that sort of thing. But I don't, because it goes everywhere and that's less that you get to drink. So basically the Kir Royale, there's a couple of ways to do it. The first is that you layer it with the crème de cassis on the bottom, and then you go up from there with champagne, and then as you drink it, it sort of mixes and all that stuff. But I'm going to say, based on the success that I had with the Irish coffee, we're going to do the second method, which is maybe not as fancy, but nonetheless delicious. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with, I love that sound, with 1 ounce of the crème de cassis. We're going to put that into our champagne flute. Now, should I talk about this now or later? I don't know. What do you guys want? I can't tell. I can't see you. The lens is very small. It's like, like when you have binoculars. I tried looking in there once. I couldn't see you guys, but it's like you take binoculars and you look through them the wrong way because either you want things to look far away or you're an idiot. But in any case, I can't see you, so I don't know what you're thinking, so I'm just going to do what I would do anyway. So we're going to take this, put that in there. Now we're going to coat the inside of the glass with the crème de cassis. I don't want to spill any, so I'm going to hold it over here. And you just put it in there and you swirl it around. You basically just want some all the way up on the insides there. I'm going to take that, pour in the champagne. There we go. Lovely. Look at that. It's red and it's, let's see. Oh, that's good actually. That is very good. If you're someone who wants to join in on the fun of the champagne, but you just don't want champagne because you think, I'm going to drink a lot of champagne and then tomorrow I'm not going to want to drink so much champagne, this isn't going to help because you'll probably drink a whole lot more of it because it's darn tasty. So anyway, Kir Royale. Oh, so little history. So this was originally made, invented theoretically by Canon Felix Kir, who made it with white wine and crème de cassis, but it was probably just mashed up cassis buds and that kind of thing. And but he made it with white wine. But then, let's get fancy. We'll use champagne. We'll call it Kir Royale. So there you go. It's good stuff. Delicious. So then you're thinking, okay, what if I don't want that? What if my tastes are a bit more extravagant? What if I want to get complicated? What if I got a bunch of stuff laying around? I want to mix it up and cause some trouble? I'll tell you what. Let's get down to business. Next thing we're going to make is called a French 75. Now, the French 75 is a pretty long forgotten cocktail. I was introduced to it by my dear late friend, Matt Swanson, who came down to the 821, which was our bar that we had in the basement of our house. And we spent many a night there just trying out all sorts of obscure cocktails. And he had heard about the French 75, and since we were all pretty rabid gin drinkers, we decided to try it because, gin. So the French 75, a little more complicated, like I said, but the base is gin and champagne. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, have you gone insane? And the truth is, yes, I have, but that was a long time ago, before I even started this, so I'm not sure it applies. So the French 75 is a cocktail that's its name theoretically was made sometime after World War One. There's some controversy. It might have been named after the 75 millimeter cannons that they used in the war. The French had, or it may have been the Moss 36 rifle, which uses a 7.5 shoulderless cartridge. But either way, I believe the cannon had quite a kick, and the gun had quite a kick, and the cocktail itself has quite a kick. So no matter which way you slice it, you don't want to slice it because it's going to be a glass, and that would just make a big mess. So, so gin, champagne, powdered sugar, lemon juice. There we go. That's the ingredients. Remember which one's got the acorn under it because there's going to be a test later. Okay. Now, the way this works is we have our ever-present shaker, half filled with cracked ice. Strainer, always important. For this, since we're using lemons, we want some lemon juice. I'm using a squeezer because otherwise, you know, lemon juice gets everywhere, and you're squeezing, and how much you get, and it's like it's the stuff and the things and the whatnot. So I'm going to do that with a squeezer. Now we use the champagne flute for the last cocktail, and that was all fine and dandy, but we can't use the champagne flute for this particular drink because this is not a champagne flute drink. One of the things about proper drinking etiquette is using the right glass for the right drink, which I'm not going to do because I don't happen to have one, but I got close. So, in case you don't know, so this is actually kind of a slightly large rocks glass, pint glass. This is called a flute. The one that people call a martini glass is actually a cocktail glass. Then there's all the wine glasses. There's balloons and goblets and saucers, which a lot of times you'll drink champagne out of a saucer, so you can get your nose in there, and then that's not good. But it happens anyway, and and then rifles. See, I should have written actual notes instead of scribbling wavy lines. So, French 75. And here it goes, and here we go. So first thing we're going to do, we got our shaker half filled with cracked ice. In that, we're going to put, that's got stuff in it too, because I'm just measuring with it. We're going to put 1/4 ounce of lemon juice using our fancy squeezer. And this fancy squeezer, the nice thing is, it's got its own strainer, so you don't get the pits. And now you'll notice, see, I'm using this here jigger, which is it's a 1.5 ounce and a 1 ounce. And you're thinking, but Tiki King, how do you know how much is in there? And the truth is, I just do. And you don't probably believe me, but how about this? I have precision measurer here. And I'm going to set this to a 1/4 ounce. We'll see how close I got. There we go. See that? 1/4 ounce. Alrighty. So 1/4 ounce of lemon juice right there into the shaker. And then we want 2 teaspoons of powdered sugar. Now here's the thing, is that you can use powdered sugar, you can use simple syrup, which is basically just sugar that's been dissolved in water in slightly unequal parts. For some cocktails, I like to use powdered sugar because actually what powdered sugar is just really finely ground up sugar, but it's mixed with a little bit of cornstarch. So in some cocktails, that'll give it a little bit of froth. It'll give it a little bit of mouthfeel. It helps add just a little bit of just sort of texture, which is always nice. So we got that. We're going to put in 2 ounces of gin. I'm using Bombay Sapphire for 2 reasons. One, because I really like it. It's probably my favorite gin. And 2, because with a cocktail like this, gin, what is gin? Reverend Dr. Tiki King, what is gin exactly? Well, gin is a neutral grain spirit that's been infused with all sorts of botanicals. And depending on what botanicals, it gives it its own special character. There's a lot of different kinds on the market. Generally, the cheaper the gin, the less botanicals, but they all have their own characters. You don't really want to use something like Tanqueray because it uses far too much licorice for this particular drink. Sapphire is good. It's fairly neutral. It has a good character, but it's not overpowering. So that's why we're using Sapphire. Alrighty, so we got our shaker. Put in the lemon juice, put in the sugar, put in the gin. And we just need the top. And give that a good shaking. Do it again. And there it is. Alrighty. Put my eyebrows back on so I can look angry. Our strainer. I'm going to put that in here. All of it. Keep going. And there you go. There's our mixture. We're going to top that up with champagne. Settle down just a little bit. And I'm wondering if Chris Davis is out there watching, because Chris and I drank a lot of French 75s with Matt down at the E21, and it was always a good time. And I'll tell you, we did some experimenting. That's one of the places that I found out a lot about these slightly obscure cocktails, is from people saying, "Hey, Tiki King, have you ever done this one?" You know, and I either had or hadn't, and sometimes we'd say, "Hey, well, okay, next week you send me what it is. We'll make them. We'll see how it goes." And so I'm really thankful for those nights down the 821. I'm thankful for all my nights, pretty much everywhere. So, let's see what we did. That's like deep fried heaven on a stick, only without the deep fried part or the stick. The French 75. You want a good champagne cocktail? That one can't be beat. The Cure Royale, once again, good stuff. Any of these are sure to impress your friends, if you have any friends. If you don't, they're sure to impress you as you sit drinking in your lonely hovel, lamenting about the choices that you've made. So, I just want to say thank you to all of you who tuned in tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody who's helping me out this and doing all these things for me. And I want to say, hey, go to my website. Go to one of my websites. You know, I have a bunch of them. TikiKing.com. But hey, check out the new one, TikiKing.info. Why? Because you won't be sorry you did, much like other places. I'm going to say thank you to everybody who's helped make this possible. My wife, my family, everybody. Maggie, you're out there. Thank you so much for being a big part of this. And all you viewers at home, thanks for drinking. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. It'll make them upset. And I'll tell you, sometimes.
Thank your cameraman.
Yeah, thanks to the cameraman, Sophie. Watch Sophie's on Sundays at kbcz.org. Sundays at 2 o'clock. And until then, I'm just going to say, have a seat. Good night and good drinking.